jackpot of love. Let me give it to you. I'm the dove of love, and I can tell you it is true. Music's played loud. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. I have the jackpot. I have the jackpot, and I think that's enough. And I think that's enough. And I think that's enough. And I think that's jackpot, the jackpot of life. Who will survive? All that money in the bank doesn't take away all of the pain. To think how to spend all of the cash drives the people insane. But I have the jackpot of life, of freedom and another way to survive.